Everyone always wants to talk about the scariest moms in the horror genre, but what about just the best moms? Like the best mom energy. In honor of Mother's Day, I'm sharing my favorite good moms in the horror genre. Because sometimes the scary thing after you is not your mom. These are in no particular order, but as usual, I'm gonna save my best for last. And I think you guys are gonna be surprised. Maybe you won't, I don't know. First up for me is Lucy Emerson from The Lost Boys, in which two brothers discover that the town they just moved to is a haven for vampires. Lucy is such a fun mother figure in the movie. She is stern at times, but lets her boys like have their space to explore Santa Carla, which admittedly does get them into trouble with vampires, but everything turns out all right in the end. And when it comes down to it, she's willing to do anything to protect her kids, even if it means potentially becoming a vampire. And let's just acknowledge that she gives such good mom energy that Max wants her specifically so that she'll be a mom to the Lost Boys as well. Next on my list is Wendy Torrance from The Shining. Based on Stephen King's book of the same name, a family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter where an evil and spiritual presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future. And I'm specifically talking about Stanley Kubrick's adaptation starring Shelley Duvall as Wendy. Her portrayal of Wendy is really sweet and caring towards Danny, which makes her a shoo-in for this list. She may be more timid around others, particularly her shithead husband, but when it comes to protecting Danny, she's willing to do anything. Particularly face down Jack Nicholson, like axing down that bathroom door, which honestly is like one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie. Next up on my list is Miriam Bucknell from the wildly underrated Housebound, in which a troubled young woman is placed under house arrest in her childhood home only to discover that the house may be haunted. Miriam is such a funny character and I love her so much. When Kylie comes home to be placed under house arrest, Miriam's first order of business is to tell her that the house may be haunted. She's a little hapless and somewhat of a doormat, as evidenced by the way Kylie just takes over the house like a petulant teenager. But the dynamic between mother and daughter over the course of the film is so fun. It's made by the same guy who made Megan, so if you haven't seen Housebound, just watch it. Thank me later. Next up on my list is Barbara from Shaun of the Dead. In Shaun of the Dead, a man's uneventful life is disrupted by a zombie apocalypse, forcing him to step up and save his loved ones. Barbara is possibly the sweetest mom on this list. She's so freaking wholesome, but she stands up for herself, which I really love. And her story in the movie is so sweet and sad, like how she hides she's been bitten by a zombie because she doesn't want to be a bother. What a legend, my heart. Coming in third place on my list is Amanda Cartwright from The Final Girls. In The Final Girls, a young woman is grieving the loss of her mother and she finds herself transported into the world of her mom's most famous horror movie. This movie makes me cry really hard, especially watching it now because I lost my mom almost 4 years ago and the story just hits me right in the heart. But I love this movie and the dynamic between Max and her mom, especially Max interacting with Amanda as her horror movie character and not her mother. Even with the weird circumstances of this situation, Amanda steps up to protect Max and comfort her as she's grieving, and it's such a heartfelt horror comedy, honestly. Coming in second place is Sarah Engel from Krampus. A dysfunctional family clashes over the holidays and accidentally summons a demonic entity known as Krampus who terrorizes them. Sarah reminds me of my own mom in the sense that she like runs everything in that family. And she tries to have a nice holiday. The only main difference is that my mom would never get store-bought cookies over fresh baked ones. Absolutely not. But the similarity that really makes me laugh between my mom and Sarah is the choice to like make a non-traditional dish for Christmas, much like Sarah does, to the confusion of other family members. I really enjoyed that. And like all other moms on the list, Sarah is willing to face down the craziest shit, even evil Christmas toys, to protect her family. Now you may be wondering who the #1 choice is on my list, and a couple of years ago, in hindsight, super grateful that I was lucky enough to get my mom to sit down and film a portion of a YouTube video for me. I think it was a remake versus original for Mother's Day or something like that. She is my favorite horror mom because she's the reason that this channel exists. She's my #1 supporter, this channel's #1 supporter. She's always here. I know it's hard to tell, but there are pictures of her in my set here. So I'm going to re-add the clip from the end of that video a couple years ago and let her just show you what a cool mom she is.
Hey, everyone, I'm Vicki's mom. I know we don't look anything alike, but I really am her mother. And since it's almost Mother's Day, I'd like to talk a little bit about mothers and horror. The first horror movie I ever remember is Psycho. And the mother wasn't present in that movie, but mothers definitely have an effect on their children, and he was absolutely bonkers. You know, you might wonder if I had an effect on Vicki. Well, at an early age, I read Edgar Allan Poe to her, and I don't know whether that did it, but they were classics. So I tried to read all the classics with her, but it did have an effect. She does love horror, so that probably did. Another movie that it's old, but it's Carrie. The mother was absolutely nuts and definitely had an effect on the daughter. Kind of in a good way, because she kind of got away from her mother, but you know, she was not right.
She fucking kills that psycho bitch.
Not right. But mothers do have an impact on their children, and you really want to think about, you know, what you're reading to your children or what you're letting them watch, you know, at early ages. But I'm kind of a free spirit, and I wanted Vicki just to read everything and anything she wanted. Lastly, this isn't really a horror movie, but another favorite is Serial Mom. She kind of vocalizes everything that you are thinking. You know, so if you ever have a chance to watch that movie, it's a really good one. Vicki also asked me to talk about, since she's my child, there are movies that depict how you would not want your child to turn out, and one was The Omen. It's been a long time since that came out again, and the child's name was Damien, that would be a mother's worst nightmare, that your child's possessed. And sometimes when you're raising them, you wonder if they are possessed. But that's beside the point. I want to wish everybody out there, all the moms, a happy Mother's Day. And one more thing, Vicki is the best daughter a mother could ever want.
Aww. I want to hear about your favorite good horror moms in the comments, and I'll go ahead and link that original video there if you wanted to watch the whole thing. I honestly don't remember much about the movie I was reviewing, but it might be a fun watch. I had short hair back then too. It's kind of weird that this ended up happening. I will see you very soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.